Phil currently up €246,000. And today I'm joined in the booth by a man that needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. Rumor has it the Vision software on Run It Once was molded around ideas that he thought up during hypnotherapy. Others claim he knows Phil's thought process better than Phil himself. What we do know is he's arguably one of the best PLO analysts in the business. Richard Gayler, how you doing, man?
Hey, good to be back.
I'm sat playing poker 15 hours a day, staring at a screen, and I stand up and my back feels like I'm 50.
You play 15 hours a day?
That's probably a slight exaggeration, but yeah, normally around like 10 to 12. Yeah, 10
Jesus, are you kidding me?
I played 70k hands last week.
Wait. Where do you play?
On the site that Phil and Actionfreak are playing on at the moment. Talking of Actionfreak, check pot on the deuce of diamonds turn over on table
very
punch.
Sexy. Very sexy. He's hitting them with the old one too. Little two-piece sandwich right here.
Yeah.
Small combo. Wow, what a big river for Phil. Oh, you love to see it.
Well, does pair spades get there as well?
Massive. And if Freak jams here, he's a madman. But we typically just throw the computer out with the bathwater when you see the river like this with 32,000 euros in there.
Yeah, this is when you just type "lol" in the chat because you know you've lost the hand.
Phil can't have ace jack 9 diamonds, something like that. He's got a whole bunch of hands that want to bluff here, and he's got he's got way more hands that just made it, whatever it is, flush or full house. And Freak's probably sitting. If Freak's sitting here with naked 5-6, no spades, no diamonds, he's crying, and then he probably covers his eyes and clicks the call button, but gets
Phil
it through.
Do you think Phil ever turns like the 9-10 jack with maybe like one spade blocker and one pair blocker into a bluff there on that river?
Mandatory. So Phil's got a decent amount of bluffs there for sure.
Richard, I was so excited about doing commentary with you today that I showered.
Ooh. We got
4-bet pot alert.
Yeah, I got a big one. I don't know if that was loud enough. I can bring it closer to the mic if you guys want to hear a little bit more of an air horn next time. A lot of Phil's big pairs in a tough spot. By calling, he's saying he's got a pretty smooth flop equity curve, and here we are to a board that Phil should be getting a little bit of a piece of, enough of a piece to go with, unless he has something like a king high rundown, no 9. He tends to like pot calling these spots, although you never get aces to fold SPR 1.5, so it's just really just making sure that you get to run your equity.
Phil just actually leading out.
Yeah, there it is. Not surprised to see this at all. At the very beginning of his first challenge, he pot called Queen 10-10-9 on a board like this.
Wow, big turn for Phil. Yeah,
bailed out on the turn and then taken to the showers on the river. Whatever table that is. What do we call these tables? Is the stream lagging? Stream frozen? Stream lagging? Let me reload that.
I don't see any Fs in the chat, but yeah, I saw it drop for a little bit. We got Falcon and Punch.
Over on Falcon. Yeah, but I don't know what your EVVV win rate is, but when I'm playing mid stakes, it's pretty much impossible for me to lose more than 40 buy-ins.
Must be nice.
Yeah, well, it's not nice when you become the elevator that just wins all those buy-ins and brings them up to high stakes guys, run bad, drop it to them, and then rinse repeat, right? But
pot size turn bet from Phil.
Yeah,
I don't 18 in the middle.
Do you expect him to bet flop with anything that's king no gutter? Like if he doesn't have king 10, if he has say king 9, do you think he's really going to bet flop?
Again, it would be purely speculation on my end, trying to guess as to what Phil is up to.
Yeah, point being is I actually think Phil is much more value heavy here than he ought to be, because a lot of his hands that would want to bluff turn are going to be checking flop. So I think it's going in on the river, and I'm pretty sure he's got it.
He does go for the lot. Dealer, I'd like to wager all of my virtual plastic tokens, please.
Yeah, I mean, so many of his 3-bet range has showdown value here that wants to be checking, and it's pretty hard for him to have air that's just tripling off here. Maybe if he has something like Queen 10-10, but what's he 3-betting that's Queen 10-10 that doesn't want to be checking at this point? Like Queen Jack 10-10 wants to be checking.
In the tank, if he does call, we will have a $75,000 pot.
Yeah, I would try and buy some of Phil's action for this hand.
So Phil winning a decent size one there.
Because there's
still down around. What do you think he's down, Richard? Like what, 30K on the day?
Yeah, down
thereabouts?
and buying. It's pretty fair.
Down and buying.
But so, I mean, Phil will jam 10 high or Queen high straights plus there, right? So he just has to find bluffs, and it's so hard to find enough bluffs there.
And you're saying that a lot of his like aces or Queen Jack 10-10 combos are going to be checking.
Yeah, at some point in the hand. Yeah, I mean you have to jam your nuts. It's heads up POL. You got to jam your nuts, and since those are mandatory, pretty much, because there's so few floats that aren't just snap checking back in freak shoes.
I'm hoping every single one of you at home, there's 1,072 of you currently tuned in, have got a pen out and you're taking notes. Richard Gayler is in the booth, and he's, this is like free coaching, courtesy of Phil Galfond and Actionfreak.
Yeah, courtesy of Run It Once, technically.
Yeah, how much do you charge for coaching?
$250.
Yeah, there you go, guys. You're getting like 1.2K's worth of coaching just by watching the stream. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I really like this double barrel from Freak. It's the kind of texture when you're not raised on flop, you can pretty comfortably just start ripping in the shells. And then huge river for Phil's call range. He should be taking something like Ace Jack 3-6 nut diamonds that plays as flat, and then bluffing when check two. Freak's going to check here a ton. There it is. And now Phil gets to take a whole bunch of his. Jack 10-9-4 showdown value, and wow, Freak with the protect.
Yeah, I remember when I used to say the word YOLO, and there was just like one morning I woke up and had an epiphany and just eradicated it from my vocabulary. It's like, you know what, Henry? Time to grow up. Just happens. I think everyone goes through that transition.
Replace it with how you got to live your truth, maybe. So 7-5 deuce over here. Phil getting check two. Wonder if he's going to slide in a little bit of a stab. He declines. Big turn for the OOP 3-better. All right, guys, let's keep it clean. We shouldn't be discussing such things. There's females here, apparently.
Time and place for it. Freak getting paid over on.
The question is that censorship actually discrimination? is it
no
sexist?
Idea.
Anyway, Phil bombing it here. Don't really believe this bet. Not too many 2 pairs of his. A lot of his, for instance, King 6-8-9 is probably going to be betting flop. Some of his, King 7-8-9 stabbing as well. So a lot of his top twos not here. He's probably not going to be betting King Jack 10-8, no diamonds on the turn for pot. So he's narrowed his value range a decent bit. And he's showing up on river with a ton of air. And the out-of-position player is probably looking up Phil's massive bet on the river with 1 pair. And Phil was going with some super thin value there. I think he should be extending his value range to 7s and deuces. I like the wager. He just didn't have the heart to follow through on the offsuit queen. He would have been able to get called by the ace of Freak if there had been a bet and consent, but no dice, just checking it back. Taking the lower risk line over on punch. We got a double pair, double suited board, tons of draws out there. Pretty tricky spot. Phil might be going to avoid getting raised off his draws as much, laying them a cheaper price to see the river and extending his value range to beyond just Jack X. There it is. Seems like POL makes a lot of sense, huh?
Half pot. It does when you're talking, Richard. I must say, when you explain things, my mind is just like, yeah, that makes sense. Now, try and implement it during gameplay. Gets called Spicy River, 6 of diamonds.
Yeah, bad river for Phil. Maybe rep the quads though. Pot, 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 pot. If he's bluffing here, he should wager the maximum, I believe.
Just bets pot and gets repotted.
Yeah, he doesn't have the stones in him. Decides that the ace of freak is just going to snap, and doesn't want to feel that.
17k recorded cashes, 17 million in private games. Richard Gayler, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm actually, it's a shame I'm down in some of the softest private games I've ever played in. So much, I mean, I played in some of those LA games, and man, I just don't like the environment.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel like it's you get expected to deviate from what you know just to please certain players, and
well, not even that, dude. It's, I just don't want there to be a dozen chicks in lingerie around there. It's just that is a capital expense I don't want to have to pay into. I just want to play some cards. It's not.
Yeah.
Just not really my vibe.
I played in some private games in New York. That was fun. I was like straight out of a scene of Rounders. Just like knock on a metal door and 2 guys. I'm 6'5", so I'm pretty tall.
Oh, you're 6'5", dude, and you got broken up with? How did that happen? Isn't that some magic bullet?
I don't know, man. But yeah, I was playing these private games in New York and just knock on a metal door and some like 6'8" tall dudes just like step out and they're like, "Who sent you?" And I was like, "Oh, the guy that I'm like renting the Airbnb from. He's friends with this guy and he sent me here."
Yeah. I've been there. I grew up in cut my teeth in some mob games in the East Coast during college or something. Wow. So Phil third potting and then getting the business given to him and then drilling that ace of diamonds. Do we see another lead? Phil's flush draw is uncomfortable they don't want to bet fold on the turn, so a lot of them are going to play as check call. And I don't know, man. Kind of like this river for Phil.
He likes this river for Phil. Oh, what flush draw? Just all his flush draws? He does lead pot.
There it is. Giving him the business. If he has something like, I don't know, king, jack 10 with the king of diamonds, he's going to probably bet check call jam here, though. So some bluffs for Phil. Gets it through. So at my home game, we play a game called Blind Man's Bluff, where you put your cards in your head, and it's basically an opposite game of high-low. And we were playing 4-card high-low Omaha, as in PLO8, Blind Man's Bluff, and I just stuck in like 9K against my friend, where I just had like the worst hand I could possibly have, and he had a decent bluff catcher that I was trying to get him off of, and I just gave him a little wealth transfer. That was probably biggest pun of mine. After everyone folds to this guy, we can all see he's got a strong hand, and so he knows he has a strong hand. And when I triple off into him, I just don't have it, and he knows he has it. So that I mean, I don't know. I was pretty drunk. But.
Yeah, you mean those donos happen occasionally?
Yeah. Just straight up wealth transfers, to be honest. But I mean, he makes so much money trading. I figured there was a prayer that. The board was actually ace, low, and he showed up somehow with kings, which scooped for the high. Wait, let's get back to the poker. We got a jack, 6, deuce, 3, 2 flush draws out there. Ton of bluffs for freak, and I assume this is a 3-bet pot. They went bet, call, check, pile. Phil possibly able to jam some of his, gutter flush draw overpairs. If he somehow shows up here with the king, 5, 7 spades, he can just check jam that and have the hand play out. Instead, he decides to call down. Bit of a brick for a lot of freaks' missed draws. He is comfortably able to be potting any jacks up on the turn, though. So he has some value jams that are able to bet jam here. Instead, he takes showdown with 10-6 and runs into it. Phil, huge river.
I think with Richard and myself booked in for Chat Pro Saturday, as well as a few spots next week. So we'll save some for future streams as well. We'll save some.
Yeah. I mean, 7 years later, I think there's enough stories for more than one stream. So let's see here. big turn there. The 8 of hearts. Not too happy for Papa Phil. If he bets here, he is opening up, he's exposing his stack, being super deep. Looks like the players are roughly even so far. Would you take a guess at that? Roughly even?
Yeah, I believe we got word from Phil, 4 minutes ago? Phil's up 2K.
Wow. Well, when he pots it here, I tend to believe him. If he has something
This way
like
you just throw up when you get repot and you got the naked 79.
yeah, I mean, he could. Yeah, well, no, you don't actually. You just snap get it in, but he could have something like 10-9 nut diamonds. There are some bluffs here for Phil, and trust me, he's finding them. River bricking basically everything. A couple defending 2 pairs, improving to top 2 or something like that. Let's see, does Phil give him the business? Yes, he does.
Wow. Big pot. Potentially an $80,000 pot if Freak finds a call with, as Richard mentioned, maybe a 2 pair or a set. Diamonds bricking, hearts bricking.
Yeah,
Jack
so
10-9 bricking.
it's really just looking for something like 987, or sorry, 986, something like that. He's trying to block 97 while having something that beats Phil's bluffs. If Phil was potting something like King here, then he's making a massive range construction error, I would guess. He's just got some sick merge if he's got naked King. So that means Freak in position can have basically most of his 2 pairs and comfortably call here if they have important straight blockers.
Wow, he gets paid. He gets paid. Phil had it.
289. I mean, it's pretty hard for Phil to find enough bluffs to balance a pot-sized bet on the river, but
Wow.
Freak clearly disagrees and calls it off and loses.
Huge $80,000 pot going Phil's way.
In honor of he who shall not be named. Bam!
Yay, Phil. Let's go. 2 hours in after a rough start. Your man is now up around about 40K or thereabouts, maybe even more.
I'd say about 40.
Say about 40. Narnia saying, are you a couple now? We haven't made it official, but if you keep an eye on Richard's Instagram or my Twitter, you know, we'll be letting you guys know when we're going to be back in the booth together.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool thing. I've never really been exposed to the poker world. If you guys want to see what I'm going to be doing commentary, check out my Instagram. I'll be making sure to post when I do.
Plus 45K for Phil. Just got word in.
Bang, bang. So yeah, Spare, good to see you, man. I hope you enjoy Staker Hub. We're adding a horse section as well, so you'll get to see some analytics about yourself. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. We've got a conversation with your backer later today about the onboarding process, hopefully getting you on in the next day or two. But wow, pot from Phil saying he's got the 97.
Again.
Yeah, if he has back-to-back Scooper Dupers with the 97, that would be something.
Won't be saying, Richard, you do poker coaching. How much for life coaching? We'll find out after this hand. Very natural SPR of what, 0.7?
Yeah, clicks it in here, but he's got so many bluffs too. I mean, the nut wrap misses. He can't continue with something like King 10-9. Those are going to play his check call. So he's got basically missed hearts, missed ace queen, ace jack, ace queen jack, and then anything with a 9 or a 7 in it with hearts. He's got a ton of bluffs here. I would not fault Freak for a very light call.
Like a 2 pair with a 9 blocker.
I mean, 10-9-8 is just call. I mean, for this SPR, he's got to defend so much of his range.
4 seconds left.
In the cage.
Yeah, Freak does make the call, and Phil has it.
King
back
10
to back. 79s. I'm not sure how I feel about having that Jack of Spades in our hand in Freak shoes.
That's what I'm blocking. Saying. Top 2 bad blocker.
Yeah. Not sure about that one, but as far as saying 97 again, yay, Phil. Phil now up What, 75k?
He should get a tattoo. 97. That's how these things work.
Just as a reminder. Wow, what a life, from minus 75k to plus 75k in the space of an hour.
I mean, why need hard drugs when you've got heads that peel off?
Yeah, I mean, they don't call it the nosebleeds for nothing. As far as I know, they just every time you sit down at one of these tables, an Amazon Prime driver just knocks on your door with a bunch of tissue papers and some detergent to clean up the mess.
Did you get the advice from Trump to swallow your Tide Pods?
No, I don't. I said, I try and avoid politics in general. It's just not my cup of tea.
I see. I'll avoid the snarky snark then. My bad. Couple of large wagers from Freak over here. I get into some passionate arguments with. Anyway, yeah, we'll just put that on pause. King 5 for nice blockers there. Big call from Phil. It's usually the other way around, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Pretty insane. Pretty insane upbringing. I would never have discovered poker. I would have probably just graduated from uni and been on my way to being a lawyer or a doctor or something, had we not moved to Bulgaria.
Oh, you moved there as a youth?
Yeah, I moved there when I was just 2 weeks shy of turning 14. So
Gotcha.
really awkward age as well. It was quite the experience.
Yeah, were you going through a growth spurt at that point?
I was. I went from 5'5" to 6'1" in the space of a year. It's a weird time. Weird time.
Yeah, the cost of living in Bulgaria is quite inexpensive, right?
Yeah, just insanely cheap. We used to take like €1 to school, and the conversion rate to the Bulgarian lev would get you a hot dog and bag of chips and God knows what else. So
yeah, I'm thinking about vacationing. You ever heard of the Republic of Kazantip?
I have not. No.
It's kind of like a Euro Burning Man, but not with the Silicon Valley guys down there.
I can see that being the more favorable place to go to then.
Yeah, especially on the beach in Eastern Europe. Could do. Wow, pot from Freak. Probably something like 9-9 with a straight blocker plus over here. Maybe the occasional Jack 10-9 being cheeky. Phil's going to have a lot of 2 pairs here that want to station off.
Using the most of that time. He makes the call with 2 pair.
It is the 2 pair.
You're going to get an invite back. As long as you're not that nitty reg that is like, oh no, I don't want to, I don't want to not double straddle because it's going to affect my win rate, then you should be all right.
I mean, I've actually been. I was playing. I mean, I've played in some private games where I get asked to leave because they just protect them so strongly. So
so you don't get asked to leave by the actual players? You get asked to leave by the people running the games?
Well, oftentimes the person running the game is a player in the game.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm a very exploitative player post flop, so I'm going to be under bluffing some spots and over bluffing some spots, and so I need to make sure I show the bluffs where I'm over bluffing, but then I can't over bluff the spots anymore. So it's pretty.
Wow, awkward. Just got to interrupt because we got a big pot of brewing. Phil continuing for pot and
top set and big draw is what we're expecting to see here.
Freak not snap calling, does make the call and gets there on the turn.
Unlucky Phil.
74k pot heading Freak's way, and that is going to put a decent sized chunk deficit into today's profit. Probably now down to around about 60k on the day, up.
Hold on, somewhat interesting spot. We've just seen it a couple times today. I wonder if Phil's going to do his 3rd pot stab. He's So he didn't bet. I really wanted him to bet so I could see what sizing he'd choose. This is the same kind of texture, lockdown straight with 3 middle-wing cards, gap at the bottom that he's been third potting. So I was curious if he was going to do that again. But instead, he's going into equity realization mode. There it is, the check call. The inflection point in this hand is really on the turn if Freak uses a polarizing sizing. He does want to take his equity off a bunch of hands here, though.
Going full pot. I mean, he does go for it. Setting up. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't even be able to get all the money in on the river.
Yeah, he could. No?
Oh, sorry, yeah. It would be 33K. Yeah, you're right.
Basically, yeah. I mean, yeah, more or less. SPR 1.01. Oh, Twitas, we actually have it backwards. You have us backwards. Henry is the live goat.
An online duster.
Yeah, well, wow. Similar to an Irish carbon. Kahlua and Bailey's are quite solid.
So we've got a 3-bet pot over on table punch, ace, ace, 7, rainbow.
Yeah, love that sizing.
Go for the 25%.
Oh, Phil, smack him down. Smack him down. Look at that raise sizing. Oh my goodness. This is so cheeky. I mean, he doesn't need to raise any larger because, they've got 3 streets to barrel off on and he can always get the money in. If he bets 0.6 SPR here in Gems River, he gets all the money in. But, man, this is where edge is generated, getting people to bet fold flop there. Because, I mean, Freak's probably c-betting close to range there. So Phil gets a very profitable imposition raise if he has anything like, King, Queen, Jack or something blocking a lot of the top trips of Freak. And then Freak, this is
insane. Yeah, so he goes for the check call and then goes for the, 25% turn lead?
Exactly, river SPR 1, so he can bet jam all his ace jack. But if he, for instance, bet called flop and then is floating out of position, he could lead here with anything that blocks Jack X to bet jam. So he could very conceivably have some bluffs here. For instance, say that calls King, King, Jack, he can lead jam here.
And I'm saying, wait, is this a thing?
Yeah, it's very creative. This is the kind of thing that makes me,
gets the juices flowing.
Yes, it gets me more excited than a first date. This is what we're here for. This is so technical. And then, how does he not stick it in once he takes that line? He's just gonna jam it in here, unless he thinks his bluff is ill-advised at this point. But he probably just has it. Let's be real. Yeah, all spaces. TECHNICAL. Technical. Phil wondering what in the world's going on here.
Wow. Philium, Galfond. Naughty.
Money, right? This is for real money?
Naughty, man.
Oh my goodness. Everyone both of them know that each other is up to some funny business. So
that is disgusting.
Phil getting a little cheeky with that flop raise. And then float, that's effectively a turn float, let's be real. And then river showdown value and meekly checks. What a hand. I mean, what is that bet call lead? I don't understand that. Oh, it worked apparently. Well, not really, I guess. But I mean, it pushed a ton of equity on the turn.
Well, yeah. I mean, it got Phil to put 3.5K in the middle, or whatever.
Yeah. This was where brilliance meets idiocy. We got Zynga Poker or high stakes PLO. Hard to say. Is this up on Falcon? We got raised 3-bet call, check 3/4. Is that what we're dealing with here?
We are looking at a 3-bet pot, as you mentioned, and a half pot sizing on the flop and a check on the turn from
So Phil
Phil.
bet, he didn't check call, he bet check called.
Actually, I'm going to be completely honest and say that I don't know.
Yeah, someone clip that King 10 Deuce Deuce hand for the people in the chat, please. Regardless, Phil, big disadvantage on this river.
I keep getting insanely distracted by chat. I'm going to start taking timeouts and just going to watch the action for 20 minutes and then catch up with the chat and then watch the action because, yes.
Well, we've got such a engaging, nice selection of home guys and home girls that it's hard to focus on the hands.
It has been a fun day with chat for sure.
This river jam, able to see it a mile away, and Phil predictably in the cage.
Yeah, Phil deep in the tank.
Yeah, I tend to believe this one. Very thick existent value range for Freak. He's got to have something like Queen Jack 10-8 that he's turning preemptively into a bluff on the turn to have a blocker to jam this river. Pretty tough parlay.
Pretty tough parlay. There it is.
I know you like that one. I busted it out for you.
Well, I mean, you're a run it once coach, right? You shill.
Oh no, I think shilling is when you say something that isn't necessarily your core belief and that you're being swayed by money. And I think run it once elite subscriptions are the stone cold nuts, and it's exactly how I learned to have the PLO ability I have now.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not shilling when I say run it once elite is the nuts. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you there on that one. I honestly a lot of people have been coming in and asking where they can start off by learning how to play PLO to transition from Hold'em to PLO. Phil's videos from back when he was grinding in 2016, 2017, where he's doing the 6 max vids at 510 and 1020. Honestly, I think some of the greatest PLO videos out there, because the way that Phil will just play a hand whilst breaking down his thought process and the reasons behind things. It's just, it's just insane value for money.
He's so good. So we have a 3-bet pot here. Freak going, I think it was third pot and then piling this turn. Makes sense. Bunch of draws out there on the offsuit 9. All the straight draws now. Phil trying to decide if he's able to realize his equity or if he has something like ace 3 that's a mandatory turn call. Whether he's going to be defending that section of his range. Doubt he's going to have too many random floats like 7, 8, 9, 10. It's possible, and all of those would be calling turn, but I think that section of his range is less represented after he's peeled this very dry ace 8-3 rainbow flop. And on this river, we have a massive potential for coolers. If, for instance, Phil's defending a weak aces up. Okay. Well, I mean, So this river check by Freak is a statement that he thinks Phil has too many made hands to be able to take some of his bets and barrel them off on the river as a bluff. And it is also potential if he's super nutted, something like ace 8, and he's trying to trap and induce from Phil's floats if he assumes Phil has more floats than I think he has. Phil, after he's gone deep in the time bank, he has only checked once, so we should assume.
Wow, snapped off by quads. Couple of people asking what the current status is. Well, after the last few hands, it wouldn't surprise me if Phil was up around 15 Gs on the day. 50 big blinds, thereabouts.
Disappointing considering the run of cards he's had. That Queen Jack Deuce 5 float bet jam was entirely optional. Every part of that hand could have been played differently by someone else. I don't hate it, but it's just, if it's pushing an edge at all, it's such a thin edge. I don't know, man. I've done better things with 30K, but so clearly thought it was.
I think he's just protecting his image, man. He's got matches still in the pipeline. He's got people that are coming to play against him.
value. Not surprised to see Phil jam here at all. Once he piles flop for pot, he's going to be sticking the money in on this offsuit 10 almost all the time. And here we're off to the races.
Boom. Top 2 against top and bottom on the flop.
Yeah, what a huge turn for Phil, basically drawing dead at that point.
Pokemute saying, how's today going? Very well. 2 coffees in. I think I'm about, 5 pints of water in.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. I'm only about halfway there.
Phil up 30k on the day so far. Both players were down at least once, or at least on one occasion, 75k. Phil started off on a bit of a downswing and managed to claw it all back. Currently almost 4 hours in. Oh wow. Phil,
let me take a look.
Raising it up on the Queen 6-4, and we're going to play for stacks in this board.
Yeah, so Phil can definitely, wow, just has it. Nice hand. Phil fading the gutter flush draw.
Where's the first place you're going to go as soon as the travel restrictions have been lifted?
Well, you can go to Thailand at the end of the month.
No way.
Yeah, Phuket is in the mix, although I'm considering driving through the South and East Coast to see a bunch of my friends or going back to San Diego. I don't know, man. I just want to go anywhere but a basement in Colorado.
Yeah, I just want to I just want sand in between my toes, man. I just want to go surfing or diving or something ridiculous. But yeah, Thailand borders open. I got a couple of friends that are stuck out there. Like, so some friends went to Aussie Millions after Bali, and then after Aussie Millions, we were planning on, like I said, meeting in LA. But some of them did like a detour to Thailand, and they just got a sick grindhouse there, and they're stuck there during quarantine. So thanks for the heads up.
We got a spot where Phil can consider sizing turn like 0.4 so he can jam river with a spade advantage. Although all of his pairs just decrease in value significantly when Freak's straight draws complete straights, and he's going to be calling something like 4-7 of spade plus. So pretty hard for Phil to just get 2 out of line here. But there he goes, setting up the river sizing to tap it in with his big flushes and get that double. Yeah, I love I went a few years ago by myself just to check it out, and Phuket's nice. I could really go for a villa instead of paying LA rents, pay the same amount for a massive villa in the mountains. And we have consent. Does Phil pull the trigger? He can be pretty comfortably something like Queen 7 of spades plus here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be one of them spots where Phil jams and Freaks beat him to the pot with the call button.
It's possible. How much hang time does this have? Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2.
7 seconds into the tank, hasn't clicked the call button yet.
I mean, straight.
Wow.
There it is, boys.
Wow. I think that is the sickest hand of the day. 3 spades in the hand.
Not much you can do. About an hour and a half ago, Actionfreak having nut bluff hand and not shoving in the pot size river bet, instead just betting turn, shutting down river. When Phil did have the flush, switched the positions, changed the board, and now Phil had the hand that could be bluffing, and he would have run into a snip snap call off by Actionfreak. They clearly are very aware, maybe reading into some of the timings, very aware of what's going on with each other's ranges and decisions, possibly understanding the touchy-feely ideas of when people are appropriately protecting their ranges, or perhaps protecting their ranges too much, such that you don't want to bluff with your nut bluff combo. Wow, big stack off here.
Snap, call off.
Big stack off. Pot calling something, anything over pair plus clubs, totally fine for Freak to be stacking off here. Phil giving him the business, has the opportunity for some semi-bluffs, but he shouldn't expect to have too much fault equity. So at the end of the day, Freak is not having to be worried about being bluffed here too much.
Overpairs with no clubs.
Overpairs, no
spot.
clubs with gutter, ace, king, 5, no club. Probably go with it once you pot.
He does decide to run it.
There it is, overpair plus gutter.
Yeah. Deuce ball, corner pocket.
Yeah, GG.
Actionfreak, rivering trips.
My dad was pretty supportive from the get-go. He's never really given me flack about it. I'm quite appreciative of that. But at the very beginning, I wasn't very transparent about it because I was pretty sure it was going to be received negatively.
Yeah, so you were just like sneaking away with your laptop to play some 2K PLO.
Well, I was at college. No, I mean by the time I was playing 2K, everyone was on board with it, right?
Cause you're like, Dad, listen, all right, got a 200K roll now. Leave me alone.
Oh, different. I mean, at the point that you're referencing, so I played with a backer for a little bit. I'd take breaks from college, as in, so on winter break, I'd just go to LA to play poker with my backer instead of, or the summer I'd go play the series or go play the live games in LA or play online on the beach. Instead of having an internship, it was just kind of always coming down the pipeline after I went back to college.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like a seamless transition.
Wow, love that call. Well played, Actionfreak.
Talking about not normal, non-stop action today on the 7 of clubs turn.
We have a 100K pot here. Can totally have a 100K pot. If Phil decides to go with it, do we have set over set? Oh, just a call. Smooth call, just smooth call. Most of the draws brick here. Phil, when he flats here, is primarily realizing his equity. He's going to have 4-6 be dramatically underrepresented given the flop stem. It's pretty hard for him to have 4-6. He has to have something like ace king 4-6 net diamonds.
Freak shoes, we can still comfortably go for like a polarizing sizing with like top 2 or a set.
He could consider it. I would think top 2 is comfortably playing his check. If he has something like queen 6 or something like that, he can maybe go in for the whopper. But he also almost all of his value bets he can play his check to induce from Phil because Phil's going to have to bet this river a lot, and he's got very little value. He's got a ton of hands that he can reach into to bluff for, so he can have a very imbalanced river betting range if he's not too careful. So Freak might just be checking this river a ton to get Phil to fire off. And after Phil tanks this long.
Oh, wow.
Wow, interesting. So Freak had some of the worst blockers to continue bluffing with because he's more strongly weighting Phil towards pairs and 2 pairs. But at the end of the day, all Phil had was 1 pair. So if Freak had gone for it, he probably would have got it through, especially because Phil had a very bad pair of queens to call with given his 10-8-9 blockers to Freak's bluffs.
Drop like 10K, 15K. Like 10%, 20% of my roll in a day before, and just go hit the sauna, hit the ice shower, and read a book, call it a day. Back at it the next day.
I like what you said though about using rather than dollar values the percentage of your bankroll.
Yeah, I mean, I think I started doing that when I was Phil did, where he's like, oh yeah, I just like once dropped 1.2 mil, which was roughly 80% of my bankroll at the time, back in the old Railhaven days. I was like, you're just a sicko.
Who did that?
Phil did. Phil, I think Phil's biggest like losing session was like 1.2 mil or something.
And that just gets me riled up to think about. So we have Phil half potting flop. Love that normal sizing. He should be ripping this turn all day. Although SPR 3.5, he could consider not doing it, but he goes with it. We could see a big one to end this day up.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna finish things off with a bang if Freak calls. Looks like he's sat out on the other table, which leads me to believe we are going to be calling it a day after this hand. See how this one plays out.
I mean, Phil can be quite wide here. A lot of top pair plus draws, over pair plus draws.
And Freak does
Generally,
call.
I say this favors Phil. He's just going to be sticking most of his big hearts in the bet line, so he's going to have a pretty chunky amount of good flushes here. In position player has their fair share of flushes as well, no doubt, but they're going to be slightly lower quality. A lot of the time it's going to go jam call, and Phil will win. Although Phil, I think, can stack off with king high flush plus, as long as it's not king jack or king 10 of hearts. So occasionally he'll jam and get snapped by the nuts. Nope, plays a check
over F.
Now it's a matter of how many missed straight draws or pair plus gutters, etc. in position play. Wow.
Wow. A Freak rivering the 56.
Yeah.
And
Phil would have got snapped probably.
Yeah, so I think around about 45k on the day, or thereabouts. I mean,
is that all she wrote?
I think that is all she wrote, man. I think that is. If that is the case, Richard, I mean, had an amazing time in the booth with you today, and I'm really looking forward to running it back on Saturday. I'm gonna, go away tomorrow and fiddle around with visions for a bit, so I can hopefully, provide a little bit more help on the analytical side.
Yeah, well,
with you on Saturday.